like since I've been, well, really since the day I got here to the island, I feel like your culture in terms of human connection is
Mm-hmm.
incredibly different from the American culture. I remember when
Yes.
I was going through training, me and the other people I was training with, we were, just walking around and doing what Americans do, sightsee, whatever. And we're up there for a couple months, so the community sees us and whatnot. And at some point along the way, we met a local and we like started talking to him. And we found out we had the reputation as those Americans that never smile at anybody or say hello.
Oh wow.
And like nobody was saying hello to us or trying to get our attention. So from our perspective, like we were just doing what we normally do.
Okay.
We didn't know that there was this expectation that we were supposed to say hello to people who hadn't initiated it with us.
Okay. Yes. Well, I have visited America a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
and like you rightfully said, it is just so very different. Down here, you meet people, you say hello, somebody asks, "How are you doing?" They
Mm-hmm.
actually wait for a response.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, we meet by the road in town somewhere, and you ask, "Oh, hi, how are you doing?" You're waiting for me to say, "Oh, I'm good," or "Not so good this morning because X, Y, and Z happened," but that's life.
Yeah.
In America, well, from my experience,
Yeah.
when somebody passes you and they say, "Hi, how you doing?" By the time you open your mouth to respond, the person just continues on.
Yeah.
Yes, the person, it's like they hardly even look at you when they say hello.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, "Hi, how you doing?" And that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the last thing we want to hear is, "Oh, life's not so good." When I say, "How are you doing this morning?" the only thing I want you to say is fine. If you
Sometimes
say
you don't even
anything
wait.
else, if you say life is bad or I'm struggling with this, I'm gonna roll my eyes in my head. I'm watching my watch, like I don't got time for this. Why didn't you just say fine?
But sometimes you don't even wait for me to say fine.
Oh, that's it. Sometimes we're
Yeah,
just gonna run off. We're in a
yeah, you
hurry to
just,
get somewhere. We don't got
yes.
time.
And that's the other thing. Everybody's always in such a hurry. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's where I have been that's like that,
Yeah.
but everybody is just in a hurry. People are literally running to the bus,
Mm-hmm.
running to the train,
Mm-hmm.
checking their clock and running. The Uber is outside, running to it
Yep.
just to go. Everything is just everything is just in fast forward.
That's
Yes, it's
it.
it's it's totally different
We
down
got
here.
somewhere to be.
Totally different
So I
down
got
here.
a video here that really I think captures the essence of what how Americans interact with their neighbors and want to interact with their neighbors. And so I want to just play that and we can react to it here.
Okay.
Hey there. I just wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm Dan. Hey, Dan. This is my wife, Kathy. We just moved in. Hello. We're the Johnsons. Oh, great. Welcome to the neighborhood. Hey, guys, come here. Meet our neighbors. I'm David. And this is my family right here. This is my son, Kenny, my daughter, Casey, and this is my wife, Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
We're the Millers. Pleasure. Thanks for saying hi. All right, take care now. I don't like him either. Why come over and introduce yourself?
As if I heard I don't like them.
Yeah,
That,
exactly. That's exactly it. So it was, I don't like them. I don't either. Why do you come over and introduce yourself? And that's exactly how we are with our neighbors. Like, you're on the other side of the fence. You do your thing. Don't bother me over here. The fence exists. So I don't have to see you. I don't have to know you.
oh wow, wow. Well, it's quite the opposite down here.
Yep.
Down here, if somebody comes to live close to you,
Mm-hmm.
you get to know them. I mean, you say your hellos and whatever. In a conversation, you get to know where they work, maybe what even brought them over to this,
Mm-hmm.
part of the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
A simple conversation can get you into so much, to get to know so much about them and their own personal business. And it's not that you mean to pry. I think it's just making casual conversation and just being nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's it. And people will check on you. I'm sure with your experience being here, you pass, you greet people, they say hello, you stop, you have a chat, or you notice when there's something in the community like a death in the community or a
Yeah.
celebration.
Yeah.
People don't need to know you too well to come over to
Right.
support or to ask if you need something.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
That's it. And there's like a lot of connection here. Like, I mean, we still have it a little bit if you come from a small town. If you're from a town of, say, 200 people in it, then you get that sense where everybody knows everybody and don't expect to have a private life because everybody's going to pry. That's how we see it, as prying.
Okay.
And everybody's going to be involved in your business. If you're going to school in some small town and you do something wrong at school, your parents are going to know well before the school day ends because some neighbor tells some other neighbor who tells your parents. Like, there's no hiding it. You can answer the phone when the school calls and mom's still going to know because somebody told her.
Yes, yes. I think that's more like what it is down here. That's more
Mm-hmm.
like what it is down
And I mean, that's definitely something like, I mean, I come from America, I'm an American. And so that perspective of, I have no interest in knowing my neighbors, let me just live my life here, is what I brought with me. And like down here, it's just, it's not possible. Your neighbors aren't going to let you be a stranger.
No, they won't. Especially if you're living alone. Your neighbors will think, oh, it's Christmas. I mean, I could share my stewed meat with him.
Yeah.
I can, show him how we do certain things around Christmas time. They might be thinking, oh, wow, it's Christmas and he has no family. Because I'm sure you notice around Christmas time, people visit each other quite often. Even if it's just to have a drink and a little chat. They don't need to come in to sit. They may just pass, say hello, stand by the road, and have a nice long chat, drink something, laugh at a nice joke, and so on. So they automatically feel that you should not be left out, like you should be a part of it. And if you decide to stick to your same little American culture, people will look at you as, I don't think this one is too nice. And some will still try. Some will still try to say hello, get a little something out of you,
No, and that's something I had to learn. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the culture down here, like, I mean, definitely it wasn't something I was immediately open to, but being in it now, experiencing sort of that connection, you feel like you're a part of a community down here. You feel like there's a sense, whereas, back in America, if you're living alone, you're all by yourself. Like, you have your friends, but your friends live wherever throughout the city. You might meet up with them at a show or a bar or wherever. But when you get back to your house, you're alone. Like, you don't know the person that lives next door or over there. You don't have any desire to make eye contact or talk to them. Really, even if somebody does say hello, like, you've been to America a few times. And so, did you have that experience where you just practiced your ways, said hello to people on the street, and they just kind of look at you funny or keep walking, don't respond?
Well, to be honest, I never really tried it on the street because I got to know that this is how it is. But say, like in the apartment building, getting out of the apartment, you meet one, two people, so you say hello. Well, interestingly, I think being among West Indians as well, so we would pretty much have the same kind of culture. So even if they're up in America, immediately when another Caribbean person meets them and says hello and whatever, I think they come back to their whole little Caribbean thing. So we get that, especially when they pick up your accent, then they can tell, oh, I think this person is Saint Lucian, so right away, they start up a conversation.
Somebody that wants to talk to me. They're excited.
Yes,
They're happy to have
that's
that.
right. Yes, so I have gotten that. In the apartment building, I come out of the apartment, I say hello to whoever I meet. You get downstairs and the receptionist, you say hello. They will actually ask you, say hello, how you doing, and so on. There's a little conversation. But when you reach outside, yes, to me, by the time you reach outside, everybody's just busy about their business. And that's not like, hey, where you may just meet somebody that you know very well,
Right.
It's like you're just among total strangers most of the time. So it's easy to just be on your business and not really turn to say hello to anybody.
Right, absolutely. And so there is. It's just like we do. We think, why are you saying hi to me right now? We're suspicious of everybody, I think. Like, what do you want from me? What are you trying to get? Anyone that comes up that's a stranger and tries to strike up a conversation with you, there's this idea that they're trying to sell you something or they're trying to scam you or there's something going on that this stranger would want to talk to me. There's no thought in our minds that it might just be a friendly person that wants to have a conversation.
I think that's a little sad. I think that's a little sad because, I mean, you're a human being, you know, and somebody's just simply being nice, but because of your culture, you have to think,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like you're questioning why is the person being nice? That's the first time you've met the person. It's not like the person is just barging into your home to sit and whatever. Just a little conversation, but already you're very suspicious. I mean, that is not to say that we should not be, you know, mindful of who's coming up to us and whatever. But I think for us, it's more a case of how much harm could it do to just respond nicely to the person and still be about your business. Oh, hi, how you doing? I love your outfit, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
And then you go about your business. You in
Right.
your mind you think, well, okay, you just made somebody smile, somebody made you smile, and you're about your business. No harm done.
yeah.
Yes.
You know, I went to a conference once and I met somebody there that they were American citizen at the point I met them, but they were originally from Serbia. Their husband came over for work, and anyways, like they were telling me like how depressed all Americans must be and how lonely they must be. Because in Serbia it's kind of similar to what y'all have, she was saying, where like your neighbors come over, they talk to you. If they come at 2 in the morning, you just get up and you make a meal and you sit down and you have this, you know, whole meal with people. Whereas for Americans, it's like on the occasion we get together with our neighbors, it's planned, right? It's called in advance. Tuesday, the Smiths are gonna come over, we're gonna have dinner. They're gonna stay until 8 o'clock, and then we've got a plan for how to get them out of our house if they try to stay too late.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what happens when you're home and okay, not necessarily home. You're coming from work and you've had a terrible day. Don't you ever feel like you could really use a nice conversation with somebody?
I would say yes. We probably do feel like we could. I mean, if you have your family, then you have your wife or whoever to sort of have that conversation with. And if you don't have your family yet, maybe you get together with your friends. So I might call up a friend and then we'll go out somewhere and meet up for dinner or whatever to sort of have that conversation because I'm having this bad day. But we're not necessarily going to, like our neighbor, we probably don't know the person that lives right next door. We know our friend that we met when we were out at some place and he lives on the other side of town. And so that's where our connections are going to be, is with those friend groups that we sort of put together rather than with our immediate neighbors.
So in that case, you will rarely find yourself giving somebody a listening ear, a stranger. Because here,
Oh, yeah.
you may get to the mall or somewhere
Yeah.
and somebody ask you, is this seat taken? You know, maybe not next to you, but maybe across you. And you tell the person, oh, it's okay, you can have a seat. The person sits there.
Yeah.
The person begins to sigh or something. And then you just get the urge to ask, but what's wrong? Or are you okay? Or whatever. And then you can have a conversation that will lead to a whole lot. Maybe you may recommend somebody a job, this, that, whatever way, you know. But then in your culture, since it is that this more or less happens with somebody that you know well, so it means that
The American's
chances
gonna
of
get up.
helping?
Like the American hears that sigh, they know you got some story you want to tell, so we get up and we go to a different bench. We got no time for that.
wow, wow.
I mean, it's one thing I find surprising. I mean, like in any culture, there are people that go too far in one direction or
Yes.
whatever. But I find sometimes I'm talking to somebody and like, I just met you today and you're telling me your entire life story. You're telling me all about your marriage. You're telling me about these things
That's
that
down here?
down here, yeah.
Okay.
Like it's not often, but occasionally I met a few people who just like, I just met you and you're already telling me about this affair you're engaged with or something. I'm like, what? Why
Well,
are you
we will
telling a
get those
stranger?
extreme cases, right?
Yeah.
You know, you'll always get those extreme cases. Yeah, some people are just like that. Yes.
But it is one thing I like about the culture down here is that sort of sense of connection and community that you get. Like there is a certain loneliness that comes with being back in the States because if all my friends are busy, then I got no one to talk to, right? I'm not going to go talk to my neighbor because if I haven't talked to him in 3 years, I'm certainly not going to go over and talk to him today.
Yeah, I think one of the things that contribute to that too is the size of the population, because Saint Lucia is small.
Yeah.
It's almost everybody knows everybody, like you usually hear.
Yeah.
And most likely, you step out of your home, you go to Viewfort, you will get so many people that you know. You go up to Castries, you will get so many people that you know. You go to Soufre, even if you don't get as many as you would get in Viewfort, you will get at least a few people, you know, that you know well.
Yeah.
So it's easy to maintain, you know, that whole little camaraderie and all of that.
Yeah.
Whereas in the States, you may go out and not see one person that you know at all for the entire day. Yeah.
No, and that's exactly it. The smaller a population, like I said, in our small towns, if you're living in a town with 200 people, you'll definitely get that sense of community
Yes.
where you're not going to be able to have a private life. But if you're out in, say, New York City, then, I mean, you're just one person amongst 3 million. Like, exactly. You're not going to run into anyone you know. Nobody's going to see you. You're anonymous. And so it is harder to have sort of that connection in the bigger populations versus the smaller ones.
Now, mind you, there are times when you wish it was like that for you, you know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have a little of both sides. There are times when you wish, oh my goodness, that especially if there's something going on, something something unfortunate has happened to you.
Right, you don't always want
Every step you take, there's somebody who knows your story.
Yeah,
Somebody
yeah,
who's
yeah.
going to come and say, oh my goodness, so this is what happened.
Yeah.
Or what exactly happened? You know, like you will get that. You want to forget about it. It's impossible to forget about it because, and you cannot just stay home.
Yeah.
You know? So you step out to go to work, you will get some people bringing it up. You get to town, at the supermarket, some people will bring it up.
Yeah.
You may even get a case where you're on the line at the supermarket and the person behind you is whispering that same thing to the person behind, you know, him or her. Everybody knows everybody. So sometimes we wish we had a little of the American culture where everybody just goes about their business.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes,
Yeah,
that's not what we would really, you know, want generally.